Speaking of insanity, Avatar 2 has made like pretty much $1.5 billion now.
That's
Yeah,
nuts.
and I'll stand by what I said when I was asked months ago what it would make, which was I got no clue, no clue. And here we are. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go. There it goes, making 1.5 billion. For some reason, is this super rewatchable for people? I guess.
I don't know.
I mean, is it just like there's literally nothing else on? Like, particularly now we're into January, it's not really a month for like big releases. So Avatar 2 is probably the only major thing at the box office right now.
Maybe.
Okay.
Isn't 1.5 billion like break even for it though? So is it really something to celebrate so that your film broke even?
I think it's reached enough money now that it's like there's something to celebrate, surely, right? Like that's what did
Yeah.
Maverick make at this point? Has it beaten that out yet?
It's beaten Maverick, yeah.
Damn.
So it's got the accolade at least of making the most money, right?
It's
But it can't claim it was the most successful movie of 2022 because now it's like rolled over into the next year. So like I think
Good.
Top Gun Maverick still holds that record.
Is anything in 2023 gonna be able to beat this? This is a tough one to start.
Lower, The Marvels is going to dominate. Okay.
Yes.
you know, Avatar.
That's
Avatar
Marvels.
is a weird one because with Top Gun Maverick, I heard people like, yeah, it's really fun and great, and with Avatar 2, it's like, yeah, I've seen Avatar 2. Anyway.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, Dune maybe. Maybe Dune 2 can knock it out. I don't know. We'll
No
see.
way. No
How
way.
much did Dune
Like,
make?
No, not much. Like
Oh.
it wasn't a big hitter. I mean, it's a good movie. I quite liked it, but it wasn't like a massive box office smash or anything. That's why it was like quite touch and go whether it was going to get a sequel. But I'm glad they greenlit it. You know.
Yeah, because obviously
Yeah,
Marvels
yeah.
will be making like 10 billion. We know that, but
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Guardians maybe that could come closer. Is that out
Mhm.
next year? It is, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
got a
it is.
trailer.
This year.
This
yeah.
year, sorry. Yeah. God,
Oh, fuck.
we're used
oh,
to
no,
that.
you're
Yeah.
It's now the future. We're into
You know what
next
you
year.
meant.
It's the future.
It is now the future.
Yeah. Strap in, gentlemen. It's time for flying cars.
Yeah, finally.
But I mean, I suppose you know with Avatar 2, like I'd predicted that it would top out at like 1.5 billion, so they've they've already broached out. And it's probably got like several more weeks left in its run, so it could conceivably reach 2, I suppose, 2 billion if it's got good legs.
And you'll re-release it like a year from now or something, right? That's what he does. Again and again and again and again.
I don't
versions
get
of
it. I don't
No, I
know
don't
what
get it
would
either.
compel people to go back and rewatch it. I was bored out of my tits when I was watching that movie. It's 3.5 hours of just nice landscape shots. It's just a screensaver, really.
But
I like
everyone
them.
keeps saying it's really pretty. It's an experience at the cinema. Go and watch it at the cinema. Like, I've even seen people say even if you don't like the story, go and watch it for the visual experience. But that's going to get you in there once, and will it get you into Avatar 3? Like, do
Yeah.
we know if there's sort of economies of scale for the future movies? Like, will they be cheaper because sort of all the technology or anything was put into the budget
Well,
of this
they-
one? Or
I mean,
They
they already
filmed it
filmed
by-
it, didn't it? Didn't
Yeah, they filmed it back
Yeah.
to back, so it will be cheaper to make the next ones, I assume.
Yeah. But even
I think you have to be, because for me, if a film makes, let's say, £400,000 profit or whatever, that's more successful than a film that made more revenue but broke even. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
impressed.
Yeah.
No matter how much money a film throws in, if it breaks even, I don't find that as an impressive feat. You know what I mean?
But
It's
like
not a
honestly though,
business.
in the world that this one makes, let's say this one caps out at 2.5 billion, and then Avatar 3 makes 3 billion. I'd just be sitting there like, why?
What is-
though?
what
I
is
don't
happening?
understand. Why is this happening? Yeah, because there's some people like, no, it's just really, really fun to watch. Or something. I'm just like, okay, I guess. I don't know how else to
There's so
explain
many-
this.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I mean, I'm actually surprised it went that far. It's like, I don't, yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I
I'm
mean,
not
surprised
even
it's
sure.
so much money. I am. I'm surprised, but I enjoyed it. Would I go see it again? I'm not rushing to go see it again. I'd watch it again, but yeah, there's some slow parts in there where it's just tranquil and just some would consider boring. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean I'll go see the third one because I like this one, but I wasn't as blown away as I was with this one as I was with the first one. You know what I mean? So
But that's what I mean. I'm not even sure you can judge the success of a movie by that movie when it's a sequel. I think you've got to look at the previous one. So people liked Avatar. It's been a long time, so they wanted to see what Avatar was like. But how much they like this one will impact whether they see Avatar 3 or not. If they were bored in this, they're not going to see Avatar 3. And so,
True.
especially given the gap, I think people will kind of go off how they felt about Avatar and kind of word of mouth, and there were loads of people just going, "It's really pretty. You should see it at the cinema." And if they were bored, it's not going to fall for that twice. So I don't know.
But
Yeah,
at this point, like, because it's got such like strong longevity, like it's got good legs, this movie, people must be going to rewatch it.
Yeah.
This isn't just like people discovering it for the first time. Like, people must be going back, and somehow they're getting enthralled by it, and they're going to watch it again. I don't really understand it. I don't know what's drawing them back in.
Out of curiosity, can you post a thumbs up in chat if you rewatched this in the cinema, or if you took someone to go see it? Maybe just out of.
Do you want me to do a poll or something?
Well, I figure we can just see it from the thumbs up. Because I would have thought it'd be. I wouldn't have thought there'd be many, but maybe I'm about to be wrong. I've seen it 10 times. I don't know if that's true. Maybe though.
No,
It's like, you need help.
People do like pretty, so I mean, I don't know how much, like graphics are a big thing with video games. We know it's not the only thing, but if you've got a really good looking game, it'll get people to take a look at it. So you kind of marvel at the special effects, but I get why people thought it was boring. Even I got a little bored at certain parts. But overall, I liked it. So.
Is it just that magic cocktail of like, it's James Cameron, it looks nice, and it's not a superhero movie, and so maybe like that's just enough to get audiences bought in?
Maybe you're like thinking, what the hell? I went in thinking, me personally was like, can he do what he did with Aliens and with Terminator 2? Again, this far out, and he did, and I'm just like, okay. All right,
dude, he must be like, he's like a magician to a lot of box office people, right? You just be like, this guy, what is he doing? How does he do it? Who did he sacrifice?
Well, he's a weird one as well, because he's almost like, I don't know, he doesn't even factor in to the modern box office landscape, because the last time he made a movie was like 13 years ago, and so. He's coming back now. It's like he's a completely unknown quantity. Like, nobody understood how well a James Cameron movie would play nowadays, because there hadn't been anything to compare it to.
Yeah, and a lot of people would say maybe the boredom of superhero movies is pushing people to want to go see this because it's like a breath of fresh air. So,
I think you also have hype around just the sheer amount of money that was spent on the movie. Like, you think, what must it look like? Because I felt that with Rings of Power, if this is the most expensive television series of all time, it's surely got to look amazing. So a lot of people are just going to be like, I've got to see just what that, like 1.5 billion or whatever the budget was on the movie. Right. What does that look like on the screen?
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Something makes you wonder, like, what? Okay, no, wait, they spent how much? And he said he needs how much to break even? I got to see this just to see if it's going to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, he's kind of walked back some of those comments about like, oh, I need $2 billion just to break even. I don't know if he was being facetious at that point, but yeah, like you say, that generates hype as well, because it's like, damn, this is the most expensive movie of all time. Of course I need to see it. It's an event.
Yeah. It's happening.
I think he said something at like around 10th highest grossing movie to break even or something, which came out to about 1.5 billion. So,
right. I heard so we're kind of there now. And like I say, it's probably got a few more weeks left, like of making probably quite solid returns. So it's probably going to be a moneymaker. I don't know if it should be or not, but it is. But then we're talking about James Cameron saying things in interviews. He said a lot of stuff recently that he perhaps shouldn't have. He's talking about how like he cut like 10 minutes of combat footage out of this movie because like he doesn't want to glorify guns. It's like, have you seen your own films, my friend? Like,
I guess that's a leaf he's turned now. I mean, it's been 13 years since the other one. So
Jesus
Christ.
I just like the bow and arrow violence. That's fine. You can kill anyone with a bow and arrow, but a gun, that's way too far.
Yeah, that feels
but it's like
weird
thing. People. This is, I guess, a thing that annoys me about movies now. I miss gun porn. I miss when like you'd have a gearing up scene where a guy's like loading up guns with like and like grenades and like extra clips and all that stuff. It just looks cool. The mechanics of all the weapons. like the pulse rifles from Aliens, where like Ripley's going down in that elevator and like she's getting all her guns ready. It just looks cool. The minigun in Terminator 2, people love that stuff, and I feel like taking that away just kind of defies the point of an action movie. It's like having a martial arts movie where nobody punches each other. Like that's what you're there to see. I want to see guns go brrr. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to John Wick 4 precisely for that reason. And one of my favorite scenes when you're gearing up scenes is where they're like, as if he's getting ready for dinner, and he's like, "What would you like for dessert, sir?" And he's just going through all of the guns, talking about it as if some like refined. What cutlery would you prefer? That's amazing, and it's just all guns in the background, and the entire thing. What didn't people start calling it like gun fu and stuff?
Gun fu, yeah.
Oh, for Equilibrium. That was Gun Kata, actually.
Gun Kata,
yeah. I think gun fu was for John Wick.
But, well, even the Matrix, where it was like, what do you need? And Neo's just like guns, lots of guns, and just like an entire shopping mall full of guns just appears right in front of him.
A lot of people referencing when in T2, right, the minigun where he just unloads on all of the police without a single injury.
It's just one of the most gloriously like beautiful pieces of destruction I think I've ever seen. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger was born to wield that minigun.
Yeah.
And it just looks great, you know. But like even in say like Predator, you know, there's lots of shots of the weaponry in that, or Commando, you know, when Arnold gets to the beach and he's like gearing up for the big fight ahead, and it's just like the most perfect montage of a guy putting on weapons, you know. It's great. It's fun.
In the Resident Evil 2 movie, you know, Nemesis is walking around with essentially a Gatling gun off a plane. That's a real one off a plane. They just made it spin slower. But in the behind the scenes of that, there's a moment where he fires it for the first time, and he just goes backwards. He walks through the door, fires it, and just fires himself backwards through the wall because he's not ready for it. Like, they just fired way too much. Like, anything that's just kind of extreme like that is innately awesome. And you can't replicate that with just whatever. What would you even replace it with? Like, oh, we're just going to slowly punch people in the face? Okay, that's going to get a bit dull. You've got to... something's got to push the boundaries.
Can't you make the same argument then as well, though? Like, we don't want to fetishize melee combat. We don't want to fetishize the bow and arrow, as someone mentioned. Like, I don't see why are guns getting picked on so hard.
Well, they're all weapons that can be used to kill people. And so, like, either you're willing to accept that as a part of your film, or you're not. And you can't draw distinctions between the kinds of weapons because they're all just things they're like tools to achieve an end, aren't they? And the end is ultimately, you know, inflicting destruction and killing people.
Yeah.
Well, banning guns is a movement over here anyway. You know, people want to get rid of guns. So, you know, if he's politically on that side, maybe that's why. And him getting, you know what? I was thinking about this, and I'm like, is he part of the machine, that woke machine that people are irritated with? Or is it because he's older, the testosterone has come down, and he's soft? Like, what? I don't know what it is, but
he's making some strange statements now, and I think I don't know how much of it is like he actually feels this way, and how much is just like I think this is the stuff I'm expected to say now as a director. You know, I'm supposed to toe the line. I'm supposed to say all this politically correct stuff. Whatever, I'll just get it out of the way and then go on to make my action movies, you know? It's tough to say.
Do we know the question that prompted him to say that as well? Because it could be like, they tried with Henry Cavill. Oh, well, the toxic fans. If he'd, like, come out against them, we may just have had his quote and not know the answer that kind of led him into it in the first place. So, if we don't know what prompted the question, they could have been like, well, what do you think of the guns? Do you think that guns actually... Or what do you think of the guns in the landscape of the American culture at the moment? And just really led him to the answer. And he's like, okay, I'll just say whatever I need to.
He definitely made comments to the effect of, I didn't want to fetishize guns in this movie. And so I cut out like a large amount of combat footage of them. For that reason. And it's like, if he says something like that, it's fairly unequivocal. Like, I can't really interpret it any other way than I want to toe the line, and I want to say the correct thing, which is guns bad. Don't want to have too much of them in my movies, but you've got to square that with the fact that you've got a sci-fi action movie with soldiers who are armed with guns. And so what are you going to do? Your main character chooses to use a gun rather than a bow and arrow, even though he could have.
I mean,
Because
Guns are useful.
Well, yeah, because they, you know, not to draw historical examples or anything, but there's a reason that guys with guns usually triumph over guys with spears or bows and arrows. It's like guns are really good at killing
You
people.
can't prove that.
It's a little small piece of metal moving real fast. It's,
Yeah.